guys, it's Justine here from I Should Read That, and today I'm really excited because I'm doing my very first unboxing video. So I decided to try my luck for the Fairy Loot November box, and I ended up being lucky enough to get one of the single boxes. So, for those of you who don't know, Fairy Loot is actually a UK-based YA fantasy fiction subscription box, which is a little bit of a mouthful to say. And what you get in the Fairy Loot box is at least one book, and then you get 8 to 10 bits of bookish merchandise. They usually deal with various fandoms, particularly ones that are found in books. So the November Fairy Loot box theme is Ladies That Slay. So it's a celebration of all of the amazing, strong female characters, from the most physically badass to the incredibly intelligent. So the reason that I like the look of the Fairy Loot box was because not only is it based in the UK, which means that shipping costs are pretty low for me, but a lot of the other YA boxes that I've seen tend to feature a variety of genres, and I don't like a lot of the genres that you typically see within YA, so I don't really like contemporary. I'm not going to read any contemporary books, so the fact that this deals specifically with fantasy is really, really great for me. So I decided to give this a shot. So before we start, I have a confession to make. I actually already shot an unboxing video for this particular box, but I didn't like the look of it, so I just deleted it and I'm starting over again. So I've actually already seen everything that's in here, but I'm going to try to take everything out in the order that you would see it. So let's get started, shall we? So the first thing that was in here is a little tin of fruit tea, and so this is called Blues Brew, and this is by Bookish Teas. So I haven't read it yet, but I imagine that this is Raven Boys themed. There's a raven skull on here, which is what leads me to that conclusion. So this particular tea is fruit tea with blackberries and currants, and it's quite strong, but it smells very nice. I've never really been a big fan of different flavored teas outside of my very boring English breakfast tea, but I have recently been encouraged to think outside the box in terms of tea, so this comes at a perfect time for me. So I think I'm going to give this a try over the weekend. So next up is a candle that comes from Flick the Wick. So I particularly love this one because it features my favorite of the badass lady heroines, and that's the Queen of the Nerds. This is based on Hermione Granger. So this is vanilla, lily, musk, raspberry, and citrus. And it's a 2-ounce candle, and it smells really, really nice. And it's a great color as well. So it smells really nice. I've never really been into sort of candles because mostly of the two cats, one of them in particular is not very bright and would definitely stick her face into a flame. But I really, really like sort of bookish themed candles, and some of the ones that you see on, for example, Instagram from small business owners are just so gorgeous, and I really love them. So I'm thinking about maybe starting to collect some candles. So this is a really, really great place to start. It smells, in case you can't tell, it smells so, so incredibly nice. So next up is a patch. This is from Literary Emporium. This is based on Mockingjay, so of course Katniss Everdeen, and it says, "Fire is catching, and if we burn, you burn with us." And this is a really cool design. The packaging on this is really cool as well. It's like an old library card. I think this is really, really cool. So next up is actually a pin from a book that I'm currently reading, which is really handy. So this is a pin for This Mortal Coil. So this is by Emily Savada. I don't know if you can see this, but it's a sort of science fiction dystopian book about gene hacking and this virus that has essentially turned people into walking zombies in a really, really horrific way. So I'm really enjoying that, and I'm really loving this pin that was included. So next up we have a sticker, and I'm reading off of the spoiler card for this month's box because it doesn't have the logo or brand name anywhere on here, but this is from Reverie in Ink. So this features a quote from An Ember in the Ashes, which if you've seen my recent popular YA books that I haven't read yet, you will know that I haven't actually read this, so I didn't recognize the quote at first. But it says, "So long as you fight the darkness, you stand in the light." So next up is actually an item that they revealed early before the boxes went out, and this is actually one of the reasons that I decided to get the box in the first place, because I've always wanted one of these but could never quite justify getting one. So this is an exclusive book sleeve, and this is by Njuli Art. So if you've never seen book sleeves before, basically they're just there to protect your books. So if you're like me and you throw your books in your purse and they get completely messed up all the time, you can pop it in, and it's open, and it's not going to clamp on your books or anything like that, and it keeps it really nice and neat. So I actually am reading a proof copy of The Girl in the Tower, which is a book that I don't really want to destroy, so I took advantage of this immediately and I'm using this book sleeve now. So this has been a really amazing item in this box, and I love the pattern. So it's not only swords and daggers, which you would expect from a box called Ladies That Slay, but it also has books on it, which represents the Hermiones of the world, which I really love. Now we're getting down to the moment we've all been waiting for. So these are the two books that were featured in this month's box. The first one is a proof, so that's an unfinished copy of a book that's due to be released in the future. So this one actually comes out in May 2018 here in the UK. This is one that I've seen a lot of, but I know literally nothing about. So that is Furyborn, and this is by Claire Legrand. It is the first in a new trilogy. It's the Imperium trilogy, and on the front cover it says, "Two queens will rise, one with the power to save the world, one with the power to destroy it, and they carry your fate in their hands." So this is a proof that was printed exclusively for Fairy Loot, which is really exciting, so the people who have this month's box will be able to read this book early. I've held off on a couple of the final items in the box because they contain spoilers for what the last book is, but now we've reached that point, I will go ahead and show you those now. So first up we have a pin for The Last Namsara. I don't know if that's focusing or not. I actually almost lost this in the bottom of the box because I didn't even realize that it was there. And we also have a postcard for The Last Namsara as well, which features some really lovely artwork. So the main book of the month looks like it comes in this little drawstring bag, which is almost like it's wrapped up like a little gift. This is the last item in the box. You'll see it at the very bottom. So it's almost like the final reveal, and this is what I was most excited about. So this is actually a book that I've already read. So this is The Last Namsara, as I'm sure you figured out, by Kristen Cicerelli. So you can see the foil that's on here is silver, and I actually have a copy of The Last Namsara, and it has gold foil. So you can see it's slightly different, and I think that, honestly, both of these covers are pretty incredible. I really love this cover. So I've actually already read and reviewed The Last Namsara, and I can leave a link to that below. The Last Namsara follows Asha, who is the daughter of the king, and she is the dragon slayer. She has committed this horrible act when she was younger, which I won't say what it was, but she essentially has to repent for that act, and she is doing that by slaying every last dragon in the land. So the great thing about Fairy Loot is that you don't only get the book, you'll also get a signed book plate, which is slightly squished because I didn't see this in the little drawstring bag, so that's my fault. So you can go ahead and stick it in and you'll have your very own signed copy of the book. And you'll also get a really lovely letter from the author. So this is from Kristen Cicerelli. She talks about how excited she was to have this included in the Fairy Loot box. And she talks about sort of her inspirations and why she ended up writing this book. So it's really nice to have this included, and I really love that touch. So that's it for my very first Fairy Loot unboxing. As a first-time customer, I have to say that I was really impressed. I wasn't 100% sure if I would like all of the stuff that came in the box, and I wasn't sure if it would be useful stuff. I wasn't sure if it would be anything that I really liked or if it would be good value for money, but the whole box was £26, and just the hardcover, the proof, and the book sleeve alone more than cover that for me. Everything else is kind of an added bonus. So I was really impressed. I would highly recommend getting this box. If you want to get the box without a subscription like I did, what I would suggest is follow them on Twitter, follow them on Instagram, sign up for their newsletter, get as much info as you can because they announce the release date, and the website inevitably crashes because everyone's trying to desperately log on and get their boxes. I think that I had a lot of trouble getting the November one because I was desperately at like 1 o'clock or whenever they had released it. I was desperately trying to get that box. And it took about an hour for the website to get up and running again. For the second one, I ended up logging in like 2 hours later and I got a box just fine. Just make sure that you do it quickly, make sure you do it promptly, and you'll be absolutely fine. Of course, if you subscribe, your spot is saved, so there would be no worry there. If you do end up wanting to get the next box, December is sold out by now, but I believe January is going to be going up for sale at some point. Like I said, follow them on Twitter, follow their newsletter, and you'll find out the dates exactly. So if you got the November Fairy Loot box too, definitely let me know what you think, especially if you have received Fairy Loot in the past, if you're not a first-time buyer like myself. And if you want to see more videos like this, definitely subscribe, and I will see you next time.